If I wanted to get back to 10% body fat, here's exactly what I'd do. And I promise, there's no fad diets, magic pills, or overpriced shakes involved. Imagine waking up, looking in a mirror, and seeing that lean, defined physique you've always dreamed of, with no extreme diets or no insane workout routines. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through how you can achieve that. We'll dive into the nuts and bolts of nutrition, training, cardio, and supplementation, all based on proven methods I've used with my clients over the last decade and backed by 20 years of research and personal experience. So if you're ready to cut through the nonsense and get to 10% body fat, or even a more sustainable 12 to 15% body fat, then let's get straight into it. And if you're new here, my name's Adam. I'm a performance nutritionist and online coach. If you've been around a while, welcome back. It's always good to see you. Pillar 1 is mastering your nutrition for fat loss. Let's kick this off with the most important pillar, calories. The issue here is most people think they're eating a specific amount of calories, but they're usually way off the mark. And honestly, that's not your fault. Even skilled dietitians and nutritionists can get it wrong when they play the guessing game. Most people guess they're eating 2,000 calories a day, but in reality, they may be eating anywhere between 1,700 and 3,400 calories. This kind of inconsistency will sink your fat loss goals faster than a hole in a dinghy. The first step is to figure out your maintenance calories, the amount you need to maintain the same weight, and then from there, create a 20% deficit. So if your maintenance calories are 3,000, aim to consume around 2,400. Please don't turn your diet into a game of how low can you go with your calories. You're looking to lose fat, not your sanity. So just to put that into an easy action step, start with a 20% calorie deficit and track everything using an app like MyFitnessPal. Reassess every 2 weeks. And if you've hit a plateau where your weight does not budge for like 2 to 3 weeks, then drop your intake by another 5%. Aim for a steady weight loss of around 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. Slow and steady is key, as cliche as that sounds, if you want to actually keep the result. And remember, consistency is going to be key here. Consistency is what separates someone from being lean or frustrated. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect every day. That doesn't exist. But it does mean that you need to be consistently good. I'm talking about 80 to 90% adherence to your plan, even when life throws a pizza party your way. So if weekends or cheat meals have been your kryptonite, I say cheat meals, have been your kryptonite, let's switch things up. You don't need to eat like a monk to get lean. It's about creating a lifestyle where you can enjoy your favorite foods 10 to 20% of the time without completely derailing your progress. Think long-term success over short-term suffering. If you're really short on time, you may want to set aside 1 day a week to meal prep, where you cook up a batch of your favorite lean proteins, for example, like chicken breast, and some complex carbs like sweet potatoes or brown rice, and then steam a variety of vegetables. Then portion them out into containers, and don't forget to obviously season them. This is a simple step that cuts down on decision fatigue and actually helps keep you on track. So now let's break down your macros for optimal fat loss. Let's start with protein, considering it's the most important, and also it's one of those confusing ones. You'll hear a variety of different things, people promoting really high protein diets and people promoting more on the lower end. So protein is helpful when you're cutting. It helps preserve lean muscle, helps keep you full, and also it helps you burn additional calories through the thermic effect of food, just digesting the protein. So 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your target body weight. If you're aiming for a target body weight of, let's say, 170 pounds, you want to be consuming between 135 to 170 grams of protein daily. Focus on lean sources, chicken, turkey, fish, seafood, eggs, low-fat dairy. No, you don't have to be eating 6 meals a day perfectly spaced out, but what I want you to do is distribute your protein intake across like 3 to 4 meals. It could be 3 meals and 1 snack, aiming for 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal. When it comes to fats, fats are misunderstood. They are essential. Aim to get around 12 20 to 25% of your daily calories from fat. If you're eating 2,400 calories a day, that means around 53 to 67 grams of fat a day. It doesn't have to be precise, but you want to be prioritizing fat sources like olives, avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and fatty fish. Like I said, it doesn't have to be precise. You want to be aiming for that roundabout area. When it comes to your body composition, what matters most is protein intake and calories. So don't let your fat intake dip below like 40 to 50 grams. You don't want to be removing fats and you don't want to be removing carbs. That leads nicely into the next one, carbs. In terms of carbs, some people will say, oh, you don't need carbs, you know, like insulin spikes, yada, yada, yada. You do, especially when you're doing step 2, which I'm going to get into shortly. They are essential for energy, muscle performance, and maintaining your sanity when cutting. Who wants to remove carbs for good? Not me, that's for sure. So the rest of your calories can go on carbs. And of course, low carb diets, keto diets, and even carnivore diets do work, but they're not optimal and they're not sustainable for most people. What I would do is time your biggest carb meal around your workouts, like 2 to 3 hours before your workout. So you're getting some pre-workout carbs that are gonna give you energy to essentially crush your session, and post-workout carbs that are gonna help replenish muscle glycogen and speed up recovery. Oh, and if you're looking to kickstart your journey and lose 8 pounds of fat in the next 30 days, go and sign up to my free 30-day challenge, link in the description below. So pillar number 2 is about retaining muscle when cutting fat. Let's clear this up once and for all. Cutting doesn't mean you cut back on heavy lifting. It doesn't mean you do extremely high reps and lower rest times. It doesn't mean you do circuits. If you want to maintain that hard-earned muscle and actually look lean and muscular, you need to keep challenging your muscles with resistance training, with strength training to be specific. Stick to mostly compound lifts that give you the biggest bang for your buck. Build a workout around progressive lifting. So you want to lift 3 to 5 times a week, training each muscle group you want to prioritize, I'd say twice a week, with 4 to 8 sets per muscle group per session, using rep ranges between 5 to 12 for compound exercises and 8 to 20 for isolation lifts. The goal is to maintain as much strength as possible while shedding body fat. Even if you're in a calorie deficit, don't baby yourself in a gym. Progressive overload is key to signaling your body to actually keep the muscle. Push yourself to lift heavier weights or squeeze out that extra rep. Use the double progression model on screen to ensure you're doing this right. I also made a video on this a while back, which you can check out in the description. At the same time though, you want to make sure you're not falling into the trap of more is better, because it's most of the time not if you're getting in a good amount of sessions. So rest 2 to 3 minutes between your sets. And if you're always sore, you may want to scale back your volume. Everyone is different. Sure, there are recommendations of 10 to 20 hard sets per muscle group per week, but that's based on the average. That doesn't necessarily apply to you. Sometimes you've got to look at your workouts, your intensity, and make the decision based on how your body's responding. Muscle growth or retention happens outside the gym. So as always, focus on recovery, 7 to 9 hours sleep a night, and at least I would say 2 days without lifting for most people watching this. Track your workouts using an app like JEFit or Alpha Progression or Strong. Log each set, every rep, and aim to beat your numbers each time. It could be 1 more rep, it could be a couple more reps across the entire program. Pillar 3 is cardio. Think low intensity, steady state cardio, LISS. This can be very helpful when you want to burn fat without actually sacrificing muscle. Think walking on an incline treadmill or steady cycling or just walking in general. This is low impact and does not mess with your recovery. Aim for 4 to 5 sessions of LISS per week, each lasting around 30 to 45 minutes. It should be conversational pace, like a 5 out of 10 roughly in terms of intensity, or you can just focus on walking and hitting 10,000 steps a day. Trust me, this beats sweating buckets in a HIIT class that leaves you exhausted for days. Pillar number 4 is supplementation. Supplements are not miracles, but they can help you when you're doing everything else right. And the 4 supplements that do work and I would recommend are creatine, 5 grams a day. This not only helps your muscle, but can actually improve cognition and just overall energy levels. 2, protein powder, easy, convenient, mostly tastes good, and it's pretty effective, especially when you're on the go, like traveling and whatnot. Number 3 is omega-3. It can reduce inflammation, can improve recovery, and support overall health. And number 4 is a multivitamin. Think of it as an insurance policy. It just fills the gaps in terms of micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals. The final pillar, pillar 5, is your timeline and adjustments. How long will it take to get to 10% body fat? Let's set realistic expectations here. Getting to 10% body fat does take time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Cliche, yes, but it's true. It does take some time. Aim to lose 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. So if you weigh 200 pounds, that means 1 to 2 pounds per week. While that may not sound like a lot, the first few weeks, you'll likely see a significantly bigger drop, more like 2 to 3 pounds, and sometimes even a bit more because of the excess water weight too. Set small realistic goals in between, otherwise you're gonna get disheartened quite easily. So instead of just focusing on just to get to 10% body fat the whole time, break it up. 5 pounds. So every 2 weeks you wanna aim to lose like 5 pounds, for example, or every 2.5 weeks you lose 5 pounds. I recommend weighing yourself semi-regularly at least, so at least 3 times a week and taking the average. And if you can, and it doesn't mess with your head, I would say 7 times a week, so every day, and then taking the average. Working out the average is gonna be super helpful. You can use an app like Happy Scale, which does that for you. There are other apps that do it too, but the weekly average is gonna allow for fluctuations and give you a trend line. You might start feeling flat, disheartened, and just out of energy. This is usually a sign maybe you need a bit more food and you need to scale back the volume and take a deload. So this is known as a diet break, and deload can be done in various different ways, but the easiest way and the most practical way I recommend is reducing your total number of sets, so your volume, by 50%, and also training with less intensity. Say you're used to training at like 0 to 2 RIR for most sets, I would do a 4 to 6 RIR, so leaving more reps in reserve when you finish a set. So you're training less intense, you're doing less volume. It could be for a week, it could be for 2 weeks you do that, but I usually recommend a week, and a week at maintenance calories that will support your diet break. And remember, getting to 10% body fat is not about reaching a number on the scale, it's about doing it in a way that's sustainable, healthy, and still allows you to enjoy life. It's not about crash diets or burning yourself out, it's about mastering your nutrition, training intelligently, and using the right supplements to support your efforts. And that's all for this video. Any questions, as always, comment below. Deeper questions, feel free to send me a message on Instagram at AdamScottFit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for future videos. Have the best day ever, and we'll talk soon.